Hey, this is Daniel Norton. I'm here in my studio in New York City with Marisa. And today I'm going to show you how to create a really big soft light relatively inexpensively. So, of course, if you want to get like a giant softbox to create that kind of catalog soft wraparound light, it can be quite expensive, and maybe it's not something you need all the time, right? You could just bounce the light off a wall or something, which would give you a big source. We've talked about that before, but you never know what color the walls are. You can't control the direction it's coming from. So that can be, V-flats are another awesome thing, but they're not super portable. But this technique is really easy to do. You can take it with you pretty simply, and we'll show you what it does. So I'm using a 53-inch roll of Savage paper, super white, so it fits in this box. Now, what I would say is this is a pretty brand new roll, but what I normally do, or if you want to do this, is just get your roll of white, use it for a bunch of portraits. When you've only got a little bit left, then turn it into the light source, which is what we're going to do here. So basically, I've got it. I'm just using a C-stand to hold it up. You could use anything you want. And what we're going to do is we're going to bounce our light off the paper, but not just wherever, right? We're putting it in the position that we'd put a giant softbox, right? We're going to set it up as if it's a big softbox. Now, you're not going to have the edge control that you'd have with the softbox, but for this style of light, you want it to spread anyways, right? So it works for us. So Marisa's there being all catalog-y. I've got my Profoto B1X. This is a single light shot. First, I'm going to do an exposure with no flash so you guys can see, because of course you're watching the video going, but it's bright and sunny in there. No, this is what it looks like when there's no flash. So it's completely blacked out. We have control of color and exposure. I mean, you can see a little bit of outline, but it's basically blacked out. All right, turn the flash on. I'm going to use TTL to get my exposure. Let's see, come back a little bit, go back a tiny bit, I think. There you go. And we're gonna frame her up. Good, good, good. Focusing, and let's see what we get. All right, this is our basic, well, all right, that's our base exposure, and it's pretty darn good. Now, if we look at this light, we've got beautiful, even light across the entire body, basically head to toe. And we're not showing the ground because the ground is ugly. But if you use on a roll of paper, you can do that. The background, while it's not white, it's clean, right? It is a white background, but of course, inverse square law, right? She's going to be brighter than the background, but it's a crisp, clean background. It'd be easy to cut her out, or of course, you could light the background separately with another light source if you wanted to. We've done that for sure in other videos too. And what's cool about this is she can move around. Like we'll take a few like this, right? She can do a few different poses, and basically we are good to go. I'm in TTL. I'm actually going to switch to manual. Usually if somebody's moving around a lot, it's a good idea to switch to manual. Good. Now, this is pretty much a single-purpose light, right? We're thinking, right? It's a big, huge light. It's going to be soft. But we can play around with this a little bit. Like, for instance, if I wanted to do a little bit more of a contrasty portrait, I could move her closer. So come closer to me, first of all. So, yep, I got my 70mm lens. So I'm going to get like a 3/4 portrait here. Now, if I just do it like this, I'm going to go back to TTL for a second. Then already we can see that, oops, because she's closer to the light, well, let me get one where you're looking in the same direction. We're getting more shadow on the face, right? A little bit more contrast there. I mean, you have the shadow there, but you see how it's more contrasty here, right? We're definitely getting that feel. But if we want it to be even more punchy, right, which is what we want, we can physically move our light closer to the white paper. What that's going to do for us is the light itself is going to cover less of the paper. I'm actually going to even raise it. So when the light itself is covering less of the paper, then the source itself will be smaller, right? And that's basically going to give us a little bit more of a contrasty light. Good, I'm in TTL. Yeah, there we go. Now we've got a little bit more of a shaped light, right? Has a very similar look to a softbox. It's got a nice feel to it. It's nice and clean. I'm going to actually adjust my exposure a smidge down. Let's try that. Yeah, I mean, and this is really, really nice, really, really even. And just notice this now, I am using a Profoto light. I need a pretty powerful exposure in here because it's very bright in the studio right now. However, if you were in a darker space and you wouldn't need as much power, you could probably get away with the speed light. And if you look at how I'm positioned to the paper, if I had a speed light on top of my camera, I could still do this. I could shoot it right at the paper, right? So even if you only have an on-camera flash, you can do this technique. All you need is a roll of paper. We all need paper. Right? Paper is, you know, they make books on it. Good. Awesome, right? Nice and simple. No expensive softbox, you know, not tons of equipment needed. It's literally just a roll of paper, which you're probably gonna wanna have anyways as a background. Bounce your light off it, create a really, really nice, soft, beautiful life of portraits. So I will put Marisa's information in the description so you guys can follow her. Go ahead and follow me, Daniel Norton Photographer. Subscribe to Adorama TV and ring the bell so you get all the notifications. And I'll see you next time on set.